In general, for the last, eons, it's basically spring market is the market, and there's always more buyers than there's houses to sell, which is why there's always extra competition that we need to kind of pay attention to.
Yeah. Have you ever had a client that's bought something and then immediately said, oh, wait a minute, something came out the following week.
Right.
I actually should have bought that.
Welcome to the TNT Real Estate Podcast, where we spark conversations that set you up for real estate success. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Tanya, and each week we bring you expert tips on navigating Northern Ontario's real estate market. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we've got the tools to help you thrive. Welcome back to the TNT Real Estate Podcast. I'm Tanya, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Tyler. Tyler, what have you been up to lately?
I went to Costco this morning, which is wild because it's Christmas. It's, what day is it, the 18th?
And you got here before noon. That's very impressive.
I know. It actually is kind of impressive. And I went with two kids. Our 11-month-old and some are almost 3-year-old.
Oh, fun.
That's like a pat on the back for
good.
Me. Yeah.
Okay, so good. Thursday mornings are a good time to go to Costco.
It's a great time to go. I didn't even wait in line at the checkout.
That's awesome.
I just walked right up and started unloading.
Who would have thought with the holidays that it would be not crazy?
Yeah.
And
it's probably the last non-crazy day though.
Yeah.
Moving forward. But what have you been up to?
Well, I have a very full house right now. My daughter's back. Her girlfriend was with us as well. So we had a house of, 5 of us. So yeah, it's been really fun, really busy. Unfortunately, Ben was sick for like 3 days in bed. So with a full house, I had to feed people and clean and do all the things that...
Way to go, Benjamin.
Normally Ben does. He does everything for us. So props to Ben. He keeps the house together, that's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, she's been home and it's been really busy, but lovely, of course. We've been having a good time. It's fun when you have like 20-year-old children, like just sort of meeting them on an adult level. We had a little gin tasting the other night. That was kind of fun. We tasted the gins we brought back from Norway. And the other night she came home. They're kind of still on West Coast time, unfortunately. So they get up a lot later. They stay up a lot later. And the other night at like 10 p.m., they're like, let's go sledding. Because they don't get to go sledding, of course, in Victoria, Vancouver. There's no snow.
So where'd you guys go?
Well,
Bell Park?
we're going to go to Bell Park.
Right.
Yeah, but do we have sleds at the house?
Oh, yeah.
No,
fair.
Ben's like, they're probably at some random shed at another property.
Garbage bags.
Yeah, so that's what they thought, garbage bags. She found an IKEA bag, so that was handy. And then Ben rigged up one of my old signs.
That's funny.
But like a rope through the grommets. And apparently they use that for sliding.
Did Ben go too?
No, Ben didn't go. No, he was still under the weather. But the girls went.
Good for them.
And they're sliding with real estate signs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
That's good marketing.
I think they were embarrassed more than anything. But it was night, so who saw them? Okay, so what are we talking about today, Tyler? It is winter.
Yeah, we're going to get into how smart buyers can move and buy in the winter. So it's anybody that's been to Sudbury or knows Northern Ontario, it's not the greatest time to move physically, but we've been seeing over the last couple of months how good the deals are. And so there's multiple ways to make it work in the winter. And if you are savvy enough to, do those strategies and make it work, it could turn out in your advantage.
Yeah. A lot of people don't really, like you said, don't really want to move in the winter. And even just going outside and looking at properties and slipping on sidewalks is never that fun. So a lot of people just kind of, hunker down a little bit, hibernate for the winter and say, let's wait till spring, right? But guess what? Everybody's saying, let's wait till spring.
Right.
So as a home buyer or an investor even looking for properties, sometimes the winter might be one of your best options.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot. Personally, I'm kind of going off, but just like looking at the hot sheets every day and like looking through the MLS system and seeing what properties are selling, even in my own neighborhood, I'm like, wow, like this, 2 months ago during the fall market would have been, a lot more. Like there was a couple that was probably $50,000 to $70,000 more. And then, comparing to the spring market, it would probably be even more than that. But selling at any point of the year, really depends on that person's specific situation. But if you're even like a first-time home buyer right now and you need like a little bit of a lower price, is the time.
Yeah. More properties are taking a bit longer to sell, right? Like we were seeing May and June properties selling in 7 to 10 days, kind of on the higher end of days on market. Now we're on an average, 27, 28 days on market.
Right.
So a lot of properties are on the market for 30 to 45 days.
Yeah.
And in that sense, you do get a bit of chance to negotiate, and you get a chance to do a lot more of your due diligence. So
Right.
sometimes it can be better to buy during a slow time when other people don't want to buy.
Yeah. And I mean, like, like when a house is listed, especially, in December, January, those sellers are extremely motivated as well. So it's not just the buyers that are looking to get into something and like really want to find something. It's the sellers that also want to get out of their current house for whatever reason and into there in the next step of their, stage of their lives. Right. So it's, I mean, it's almost the perfect storm. And it's a storm because it's, cold and rainy and snowy and stuff. But there's ways to weather it, which is kind of what we're going to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, like this morning, I received a message from my clients. I ended up talking to them this morning, and they were adamant that they didn't want to be busy during the holidays with looking at properties and moving or doing inspections, any of that stuff.
Right.
But there's this one opportunity that just keeps nagging at their minds. They're like, you know what? We're really, really sorry. You've been so patient with us. We realize it's the holidays coming up next week, but there's this property. And, of course, we're always willing to adapt, to work with them, to go show them the properties and do the due diligence. But now is maybe the time where they can actually secure this property and do their due diligence,
right.
Even though it's very, very close to the holidays.
Right. Have you ever worked, like coming up to Christmas, have you ever worked on Christmas Day?
I think I've worked Christmas Eve very, very early on in my career,
right.
but not for a long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Christmas Day.
I've worked Christmas Eve. I've worked Boxing Day, but never Christmas Day. That's like a kind of not a sanctuary, but it's like I'm not working Christmas Day.
Yeah,
but I would work before and after, like Christmas Eve or Boxing Day.
Yeah,
potentially.
One of our agents was saying the other day they had a client who wanted to write up an offer on Christmas Eve, and they did it.
Right.
They did all the work, and then the client ghosted them.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then
sucks.
they called the agent back a couple of days or weeks later, and the agent's like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm not working with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
These things happen.
Yeah. Okay, so most people want to, wait till the spring. So why is that not a good idea?
Because just like you said, most people want to wait till the spring. Yeah, so that brings up the competition factor, right? Yeah. There's still a little bit of uncertainty in terms of the market, where it's going. People hear a little bit of the news happening down south with condos being so low priced and markets average sale prices going down. So they're a little bit hesitant and maybe hoping that the spring prices will be down further. Mm-hmm. But in reality, they're not. Spring is when everything is going to bounce back, right? More people are going to go on the market at that time, and more people are going to be looking. So you're going to have increased competition. But usually the inventory doesn't outpace the number of buyers who come to the table.
Yeah, we've seen that in the last couple of years for sure. But I mean, in general, for the last eons, it's basically spring market is the market, and there's always more buyers than there's houses to sell, which is why there's always extra competition that we need to kind of pay attention to.
Yeah, and that competition isn't always just sale price. Some of it is just that pressure to maybe not put in the conditions you want to put in, or maybe shorten that time frame for conditions that makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
So it can be a bit challenging if you're put into that pressure. So maybe the spring market isn't the best time for most home buyers to wait, certainly.
Right. And I mean, like there was one in my neighborhood, just an example, and it was a side split property that sold under $400,000 in New Sudbury, which is crazy.
God's country.
Which is it also is God's country. But I was looking at it, and like it was dated and needed some work. But I mean, even 2-3 months ago, I would say like early October, there was bungalows selling for. There was a couple that sold over $5 that still required some work. So I'm like, that one shocked me for sure. But there's been a few that I'm just like, this is a steal of a deal.
Yeah, that's like $100,000 price difference.
Right.
And for a purchaser, that's a huge amount of, your monthly payment being decreased, and even your down payment that's necessary is so much lower. So what do you think, Tyler, what are some of the hidden advantages that people don't realize about buying in the winter?
I mean, I would say the main one is like when you're walking through a house, you can see, how that house kind of holds up in bad, not bad weather, but, not great weather. So if it's super cold, I mean, you could put your hand on the window and feel if it's drafty or feel how cold the air is, or if it's coming in. You could see around the house if the windows are fogged up, maybe there's something off with the HVAC. You can't, I mean, the one thing that we kind of miss is the foundation, the snow buildup around the foundation, which might be hiding something that you can't see through. But typically, I mean, with a home inspection or something, you would be able to kind of find out more, right?
I suppose the only thing that you can't test during the winter, during a home inspection, would be the air conditioning system.
Right.
But, you mentioned all the other things that are probably so much more important and more expensive to replace than if it was just an air conditioning unit, maybe that is older or malfunctioning.
Right.
But yeah, those drafty spots and just seeing how a home, heats itself, and make sure that it's a comfortable home to live in.
Right. And I mean, the next would be kind of the backlog with, even inspectors, lawyers, like they're typically, everybody's a little bit, not as busy during the winter. So, I mean, you have more time to kind of spend with those lawyers, or, if you need to do a couple extra searches or home inspections, or, you do a home inspection and you want to, look for something else, you have the ability to call those, contractors and inspectors to be able to come in, and typically they have a little bit more time for you.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of has a little bit more time too, right? Your agent will have a bit more time to spend with you at the property to book those extra inspections, those extra walkthroughs. And certainly most contractors, like if you're going to be purchasing a property maybe that needs a bit of upgrades, getting a contractor in to do a quote on a bathroom or a kitchen, that type of thing, is so much easier now in the winter because they're not as busy typically.
Yeah, I mean, they're booking jobs. Lots of contractors are booking jobs now for the summer. So, I mean, if you have, something in contract with a property, maybe it's not closed yet, but at least you can get in and get on those contractors lists. It's pretty important. So if a buyer comes to you and, says that they're kind of, they don't want to miss out on buying in the spring because of the extra inventory that comes on the market, what would you say to one of those buyers?
So sometimes buyers will want to wait till the spring because they think, if I buy now, is something better going to come on in the spring? Because obviously there are more houses that come on the market in the spring. But I think you would agree in your practice, you've been 10 years, I've been 15 years. Have you ever had a client that's bought something and then immediately said, oh, wait a minute, something came out the following week.
Right.
I actually should have bought that.
Very
rarely happens.
Very rarely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's really ever happened. I mean, I have clients who have bought something and then decided 5 years later it's time to move on. But when you find that right property, it's the right one. You make a decision, you feel comfortable in that decision.
Right.
And the beautiful thing is you actually have time to think about that decision.
Yeah.
Whereas in the spring, you might feel rushed and you might rush to buy something because you're competing with other people. In that case, you're more likely to get buyer's remorse than if you took the time to, really determine, is this the right property that I'm purchasing, whether it's a first home or an investment property.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, like, just to add on to that, I would most of the people say I want this type of house, not that I want this house with white cabinets and, porcelain tile floors. So if you find a house, even for, like in my example earlier, $100,000 cheaper in New Sudbury in the winter that doesn't have a white kitchen and porcelain tile floors, those are things that you can, with $100,000, you can do a really nice kitchen and you can do marble floors instead of the porcelain tile or whatever it is. But I think it's most and I feel like we kind of coach our clients similarly, which is you need to buy the house, and if it needs cosmetic upgrades, you could do that with time. So the perfect house might not come up in the winter, but you have the ability to do a little bit more renovation with the purchase price, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell my clients the two most important things It's not all location. It's the location and the layout. Everything else we can fix. Layouts are very expensive to fix.
Right.
Locations you can't really fix. So if you've got those two things and you've got it within your budget to do a little bit of work to bring it up to be exactly what you want, then you're in an advantage. The real problem is, waiting to the spring and then, just feeling the pressure to buy something because you have to then.
Yeah. And we've had multiple clients that, buy in the spring and say, oh, I wonder if something else is going to come out next. Like, it's not like it's not like when you're looking in the winter, you're waiting for spring. When you're shopping in spring, you're also waiting for the summer market and the fall market. So it's different.
Yeah. When you find the right one, you will know, you'll feel it, and then you'll have the time to make the decision to decide whether you're actually going to go through and buy it.
Right. Okay, so if you're thinking about starting the process and you're listening to the podcast and you're like, you know what, maybe I should start listening, or I should start listening to these guys and working in the winter. What's kind of step number one? What would you say?
Sort of like step one, it's like A and B. I think it's your mortgage person and your realtor. So those two people are your first point of contacts. Maybe your realtor first, in case you don't have a mortgage advisor. They can help you sort of find somebody who's going to fit with your needs and help you in the process. But I think those are the two key things. Have a conversation with those two professionals, determine what your budget is, talk to your realtor about your needs and wants and wishes as well. And they can help you sort of get started with the process.
Right.
Yeah. What are some things that you would add to getting ready for the winter purchase?
Yeah, I think the discovery call is very important. I think getting in touch with the realtor, and then once you know the budget that you're working with a pre-approval, just getting out and starting to look. And it's difficult because it gets a little bit it gets a little bit dark earlier now, so it is a process. But weekends are open. If you have a different work schedule, but I would just say start looking, and then when you're ready, start making offers, because it's never a bad time to make an offer, especially in the winter when people are kind of waiting. I've had multiple calls from realtors saying, you know what, just get me something and we'll work on it and we'll negotiate. So just when you find the one that could work for you, pull the trigger.
Yep. That's great advice.
Yep.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the positives of buying in the winter. There must be some downfalls. So what would you say, Tyler, are some of the negatives of buying in the winter?
Yeah, there's pros and cons to buying. Doesn't matter what season it is, but in the winter, especially up here in northern Ontario, I would say not being able to see the landscaping. And lots of the sellers, I should say, have their nice summer pictures, and they gloss them up and put them on the kitchen table, so at least you know kind of what you're working with. But those that don't, you're showing up to a house and it's covered in snow. Hopefully not the driveway or the walkway, but everything else is covered in snow, and you really have no idea.
Yeah.
So if they don't have the pictures, there's always Google Maps with the street view, and you can go back years and years, so you see how it kind of progresses, which is a tip for not only buying in the winter but any time of year. But I guess you kind of alluded to it earlier, but not being able to test some features of the house, mainly the air conditioner. But on the grand scheme of things, the air conditioner is typically a fairly inexpensive expense, cheap expense. So it's not that big of a deal, but it is something to consider.
Yeah, I definitely think the landscaping can be a bigger sort of issue if you can't see.
Right.
But if those homeowners have the summer or spring photos, it can be super helpful. I know when we bought our recent house, we were told that the front stairwell had a little bit of chips in the lockstone.
Right.
And it was a lot worse than we thought it was once the spring came around, but it's fine. It's one of those things we budgeted for. We're like, okay, well, we're going to have to fix this one day.
Yep.
But just, know the grass might not be super green. You might not be in great condition if they're not providing those photos.
Right.
Maybe just budget in a little bit of sod and some landscaping work.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a tip to the sellers that are listening too, is to get those photos. If you're thinking about selling in the winter, get those photos before, which lots of realtors offer, free photos. So yeah, get that done. And at least, you might not put it on the public facing listing, but to have them around the house printed is I guess, a really good tip.
Yeah, it's super helpful. I know when we work with buyers and they go through a property in the winter, it's always nice when you see the beautiful landscaping and the pool and all that stuff. Maybe just try to keep your kids out of the photos if you can. Just try. Yeah. So we've talked a lot about the pros of buying a home or a property in the winter. We've touched on a few of the cons. So if you're thinking about waiting until spring, just ask yourself, would you rather compete in a crowd or move quietly and strategically while everyone else is maybe a little bit distracted?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Don't hibernate this winter. This season might be the best chance that you get.